Welcome back to Rebound with Resilience, a podcast dedicated to raise your resilience, mindset, and mental wellness. On this episode, it is our inaugural episode of Life Hacks with Yida.
Hi, I'm back. My name is Yida, I'm back. Like the Terminator, I'm back.
Life Hacks with Yida, right? So what is this? Tell us about this segment.
Right, so this is going to be a bi-weekly program where we share certain thought process on how we can personally develop ourselves. As Kevin knows, as everybody knows, we are very into personal development. But sometimes topics on mental health and resilience might be a bit more solemn. So we try to keep it a bit more casual, right? Talking about how we can personally develop ourselves, bring in some certain stories that we go through, keeping it light and casual.
Yida challenging me as well.
Depending on
From
situation.
From a listener's point of view, like I said, it sounds very insightful. Haven't listened to this episode, go and check it out. But very looking forward, right? Because resilience is not, of course, resilience is just one thing, but character is bigger than that. Character encompasses interpersonal strengths, which means that between you and someone else, right? Communication, empathy. Intrapersonal, which basically is yourself, right? Your proactiveness, your resilience, your will. And the last one is intellectual strengths, curiosity, learning. And so I think all this will really help you in your career, in your life, whether you're schooling, whether you're doing a job. So what we want to do with this segment is really just to talk about, deep dive into a specific topic on personal growth and give you practical tips in that area. Just a 30-minute segment, bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly, yes.
All right, so today is the start of 2020. You just heard from Daryl talking about purpose, passion, and power. In the episode, we talked about failure as well. So today, we're going to talk about growth mindset. Growth is the year of growth. We're going to talk about what better way to start than to start with the growth mindset.
I have to say every year should be a year of growth. Just to say, if you are not growing, technically you are stagnating, right?
That's very true. So growth mindset is very fascinating. I think depends on where you're at in life. You might have different impressions or opinions of it. But Yida, what is your thoughts when it comes to growth mindset? Just like, what's your impression of it? Where have you heard of it?
Okay, it was where I heard about growth mindset. Of course, it's by the book by Angela Duckworth, Grit, right?
Yeah.
That was like a revelation moment, right? Where everybody started going crazy about having a growth mindset. You know, research about her work just started coming out and everything. But I have to say, growth mindset should be something that you always have. It's just natural to want to grow. Yeah. I feel that humanity in itself, there's a tendency to want to grow, and so through that, right, it's just that sometimes we get lost. Whether is it because we are stuck in the work that we are doing, whether is it situations, circumstances that bog us down. But ultimately, I feel that humanity should always be on a growth mindset and always looking to progress. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Angela Duckworth is one of my favorite books. Right? In it, she talks a lot about the growth mindset. She references it. It's by a lady called Dr. Dweck. Okay, and they are very good friends for good reasons. But chances are, if you're in school, you might be sick of it because depends on where you are, people. Because there's you heard so much about their growth mindset, and then you're just like, wow, what is this growth mindset again? Or you might have attended a course on it. But what we want to do really, right, is really help you to understand the origins behind it and break it down for you into 3 simple core aspects or principles of the growth mindset, and apply each principle in your life so that you can progress and grow. So very looking forward to just break it down for you, right? And just share.
Just think of it like growth mindset for dummies. Yeah.
Yes, that is very true. Okay. Carol Dweck spent 40 years, decades researching this. Now we're doing 30 minutes.
Hope that we do justice to the segment, but I feel that sometimes a lot of the research and everything goes too much in detail. That sometimes people, when they look at it, they go a bit bonkers, right? They lose the plot because they are focused on detail. So on our end, we try to make it as simple as possible so that everybody, especially students, right, can adopt it in the most easiest and possibly fun manner.
It reminds me, there's a quote, right, that professors make something simple, they make it complicated. They qualify it as something complicated. Communicators take something complicated and make it something simple and persuasive. So hopefully we do a good job. In fact, the thing about growth mindset, right, and Angela Duckworth is that it's not new, but the way they market themselves, the way the lexicon they use, right, is so simple and adoptable that it picked up speed worldwide. That's interesting. So, okay, let's understand the growth mindset. Okay, the best way to understand something, I always believe, right, is to look at the founder. Is their why? What is, where did they start from? So Dr. Carol Dweck was interesting, right? 40 years ago, she was a young, ambitious student coming out from college, and she was very interested in the work by Martin Seligman. To share the audience, right, Martin Seligman is like the founder of positive psych. He's basically someone that done numerous research into stress, into how human beings respond to challenges. First experiment, landmark, so to speak, right, was on this thing called learned helplessness. I'm not sure that it rings a bell, but share your experiment. Two groups of dogs. Back then there was no animal rights. So he gave electric shocks to both groups of dogs. The first dog had no control of electric shocks. So no matter what they do, they still get shocked. The second group of dogs, right, they had a lever to press. Every time they press the lever, the electric shocks would stop. So after this happened, right, he took the dogs, put them into a new cage. This cage, right, had a low wall separating one side from the other side. Same thing, he gave them both electric shocks. And guess what happened? Right? The dogs that were programmed that whatever they did didn't matter, just stayed there. Whereas the dogs that kind of grew to believe that the actions matter actually jump over the low fence way more. Interesting, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm just glad that none of the dog owners were John Wick lah. So nobody was killed during this experiment. But yeah, one thing I realized about the experiment that you mentioned about is that we are all susceptible to our circumstances, right? Which is why sometimes growth mindset gets faltered away. It's because that sometimes when you're experiencing life, when you're going through certain challenges, issues and stuff like that, it naturally brings you away from growth mindset because to a certain extent you lose control of what is happening.
Society pulls you away. We're going to talk about that later because it's designed to actually give you a fixed mindset, which is technically the opposite of growth mindset. But before we get into that, right, Seligman concluded something interesting. He said that it is not suffering that causes you inaction. It's suffering you think you cannot control that causes you learned helplessness. That's how he came up with the term learned helplessness and learned optimism. And he realized that people who learned optimism, right, were more successful in their work because of the way they treat failure, because the way they perceive suffering. So that was his landmark work, right? But Carol Dweck was not happy. She looked at it and said, that, okay, I understand it, but where do these attributions come from in the first place? How do people derive in the conclusion that they're suffering, that they have no control over their suffering? So she spent 40 years researching that.
I would like to point out that there's a clear example of a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. You're not taking the example as it is. Yeah,
exactly, right. Challenging the process.
Yeah.
So in 1999, right, and this is an experiment that we must talk about because Carol Dweck did this landmark experiment in 1999 that kind of shaped the growth and fixed mindset. So I'm going to share this with you, Yida, and you share with us what you think. So in 1999, she asked kindergarten or fifth graders around age 10 to 11. They gave them 10 IQ questions. All of them easy questions. All of them excelled, and they were given 3 different types of praise. The first group were given ability or intelligence praise. That means you say you're very smart. Okay, wow, you're very smart. Second group of people, they say, that's a really good score. You must have worked very hard. That's effort praise. The third group was a control group. They just said that that's a really good score. All right. Now, fast forward, right? She gave them a choice between easy or difficult questions. And what she found out was fascinating. She found that the ability praise kids or the intelligence praise kids stuck to the easy problems. They did not want to actually go on to the difficult problems, right? Because they felt that she felt that the ability praise kids, right, did not want to do anything that could expose their flaws or to call into question their talent. And in contrast, right, 90% of the effort praise kids actually desired challenging problems and they were encouraged by it. Whereas, right, the people who were praised for their intelligence were discouraged by the difficult problems.
That is very interesting. But I guess it comes back to a very, very simple point, right? Yeah. So it's like how today, it's like how students are today, right? Today, if you score 100, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to score 80 even though the challenge might be difficult. No what? Right. You always want, if you are praised based on your grades, you naturally want to make sure that is the criteria that is judged on.
Right.
It's natural. But once it's effort based, then it's a totally different ballgame, you see. Because praising your effort really just makes you want to go higher. Right. It's the same thing. If the judgment criteria is on grades, then naturally you want your grades to be as high as possible, right? But if the judgment is on effort, of course you want your effort to be judged highest as possible. So I feel that it's human nature. It's just that sometimes we need somebody to package it nicely so that we can accept it.
Yeah. Yida is always like that. He's always challenging stuff and says that we already know this, but you're right. Like, actually, honestly speaking, you're right. It's just the way she packages it and makes it like, something that's codifiable and people can understand. It's something you must give credit to her for.
Actually, I feel that is actually essential in a sense because one messenger cannot be accepted by everybody. Right. So even though the same message is a good one, sometimes you need multiple messengers to spread the message. Like Jesus has 12 apostles, right? Sure. He could have just have one, right? But he needed 12.
Makes sense. Yeah. And I think interestingly, right, to close up the experiment, right, what happened was that after the ability praised kids or intelligence praised kids, they were discouraged, right? What was most telling in the experiment was that after the experiment, Carol Dweck actually told them to write anonymous letters to their peers to share their experiences and their test scores. And she found that 40% of the ability praised kids, right, lied about their scores. And they inflated their scores to appear more intelligent. Because their success was arbitrarily defined by the results.
Yeah.
Because of the people who praised them.
Yes.
Right? And she said this, right? She said that what is so alarming, right, is that we took ordinary children and made them liars simply by telling them they were smart. So telling children they were smart in the end made them feel dumber, act dumber, but claim they were smarter.
Yeah.
So interesting.
No, I realized that humans have a tendency to brag anyway. So if you give them something like easy things to brag, especially scores, right? So it's naturally for them to brag like how much that they get, right? But effort is a very arbitrary thing. Yeah. So you can only brag, I tried the best, right? Maybe I'm very talented, but that's all, right? The amount of bragginess that you can go is limited, you see. Right. But when it comes to grades, where everybody have the same understanding that bigger means better, and it's clearly defined by how many points you get, naturally it's easier to brag also. So it's not just the fact that they become liars, right? But the system itself actually enables them to lie more.
Based on human nature.
Yeah, based on human nature.
Interesting.
It's a totally separate point that we didn't plan.
Interesting. Because I think, right, like even if you have parents watching, this is very crucial. Most people think that, okay, I just give you just anybody and ask them a question, do you think praise is good for kids? They will say yes. They will say yes, right? Yeah. Praise and no praise, they will say praise is better. But clearly from this experiment, by the way, this experiment was repeated multiple times in different states, different contexts, and the results were similar. That when you praise intelligence, you might be indirectly causing them to have issues with their self-esteem when they don't do well.
Yeah, so I feel that the praising the children thing, right, it is... my philosophy is there's always a balance in things, right? The reason why we feel that praise is good, right, is because we have been very critical to children right from the start, right? So now there's an overcompensation. Sure. So we shouldn't be striving to keep praising your kids. Okay. But of course, praising them right in the correct manner is important, but also balance it out, right? You cannot like... if the child is going to touch the fire, you still praise, it's experimentation, good, that doesn't make sense, right? So it's context dependent, and definitely there has to be a balance somewhere. Yeah.
Good stuff. Before we go into the 3 points, I think now that you understand, right? So Carol Dweck actually classified into growth and fixed mindset, right? Students who appreciate effort, they have a growth mindset. Students who just appreciate success as a goal, as a destination, fixed mindset. So moving on before we talk about 3 actions, right? Disclaimer, growth and fixed mindsets exist on a spectrum and across contexts. It's not to say that this person has a growth mindset, this person has a fixed mindset. It's always a spectrum. Yeah. We have certain growth and fixed mindset.
I have to say though, at this point in time, I'm a bit fixed, just to be honest, but yeah.
But no, Yida, okay but you're growing.
Yeah. Okay, everybody is growing and fixed at the same point, yeah.
So I think Carol Dweck, when she wrote back, she said that one thing she could change, right, before this thing took off, right, she said that she will make sure that she defined clearly that even though for qualification she has to split them, But she said that she will make the distinction clearer that it's a spectrum, and in order to prevent false growth mindsets. Because if you do this kind of thing, right, there's a tendency that we just label them as growth or fixed. And there's nothing else to improve really, just growth or fixed.
No, I realized that actually labeling things very black and white, right, actually creates a lot more problems. It's like positivity in the movement like that, right? It's either you're positive or not. Cannot be what?
Yeah.
Then all the people faking it, how? Then it becomes toxic positivity.
Interesting, because she said this word false growth mindsets.
Yeah.
Exactly what you described. Okay, let's get into it, right? Because we have enough time. But three things, right? The first thing, right, that differentiates growth and fixed mindset, again, for the sake of this podcast, we will refer to them as different things. First difference, right, is that beliefs about intelligence. So basically, right, people with a fixed mindset believe that intelligence is fixed. No matter what, my intelligence can't change much. Whereas people with a growth mindset, right, believe that intelligence can grow. Okay? Now, interestingly, right, it's proven by science that intelligence can grow. Back then, right, scientists thought that intelligence is fixed at a certain age, or you can't grow, your brain cannot grow beyond a certain age. It's recently proven false by this thing called neuroplasticity. It's a big word. Yida, can you break it down simply?
Yes, correct. So what neuroplasticity means is that your brain cells is always in communication with each other, right? So how your brain cells communicate determines how well you do a certain thing, right? So neuroplasticity is a proven fact that says that your whatever you repeat and whatever you do more, right, the connection between brain cells will be stronger, and therefore you naturally become better at it the more you repeat it. So that's where the idea for repetition beats success.
Yeah, neuro actually means neurons, right? Like you said, specialized nerve cells in the brain. Is it nerve cells? It's not nerve cells.
Brain cells.
Brain cells. And plasticity means plastic. It's changeable. So your brain is malleable, right? Every time you think, act, feel a certain way, your neurons are actually forming connections. And those pathways become stronger until they become a habit.
Yeah.
Right? Take, for example, when you go to school, right, there's a grass patch. And then you walk on the trail, you keep walking on the trail, eventually the grass patch will become like a blank thing. You stop using that trail, right, the grass will grow on it again. It's the same thing for habits. The more you do it, right, the more the neurons are, connected in your mind. Every time you face a stimulus, you respond react in the same way.
Yes. I totally agree. Right. So there are things that people are naturally good at. Then there are things that naturally people are a bit weaker, right? Doesn't mean that they cannot compensate for that. If not, there wouldn't be a need to compete, say sports, right? They can just find the most talented dude and he'll be winning all the time, right? But it's not the case, right? Most of it is actually won by people who put in the most effort, or best if they have the talent and they put in the effort at the same time.
Very, you read my mind, Ita. We are going to talk about effort and talent. It's actually the next part. But to close up this segment, right, go and look at neuroplasticity. It's very interesting. We'll link some videos below to help you have a visual representation of what it is. Of course, I think Ita will edit in some pictures here and there. But the idea is that intelligence can grow. I think that's the first mindset shift people need to take. That is proven by science that when you do something repeatedly, the neurons in your brain will connect and you get better at it.
Yes.
2 experiments to back this up, right? Rat brains, 2 rats, 2 different experiments. The rats with basically an experiment with more food and like more mazes, right? Their actually brains got heavier after the experiment. Another experiment, taxi drivers in London, their hippocampus was significantly heavier than the rest of the population because that is the part of the brain responsible for spatial awareness. And you need that to actually drive and remember routes.
Yes.
So it is proven that your brain can grow with effort, which leads us to the next point on the growth and the fixed mindset, which is how we view effort and talent. Very interesting. I think so naturally growth mindset, effort is viewed as valuable, it's viewed as like sexy, right? Effort is great. Whereas in the fixed mindset, effort is seen as I'm dumb. I need extra effort, I'm dumb. Right? So it's how much we value effort, that ratio against talent. I actually want to read out an experiment from this book called Grit. It's our favorite book. We are not promoting this book. We are not affiliate, even though they should make us an affiliate.
Yeah, so we'll drop an affiliate link if you guys decide to support us, okay?
We will?
Hopefully we will. Yeah.
Okay, it's up to Ita. But yes. Question before we go into that. Do you believe that talent or effort is more important than success?
Okay. I have to say though, in preparation for this, actually it's not in preparation. I recently, because I read a lot of fiction, Chinese fiction stories, right? Then a lot of them use Taoism and Buddhism as their fundamental base. So I read this quote. Is it the idea for talent? Idea for talent, right, is basically a measure of how much you understand the thing that you are good at the most fundamental level.
Okay.
So if you think about it in that sense, right, talent just means that you have a head start in terms of understanding how that thing works.
Okay.
So effort just brings up the other point that you can train yourself to understand that thing at the fundamental level. So because of that, you succeed.
Okay.
Yeah. And this was from a fiction book, guys. Yeah.
So what's the answer to your question?
So my answer to the answer to the question is that I feel that it's both. Right. Sometimes there will definitely be exceptions, right? Okay. So there will be people who are extremely talented to the point that ordinary people cannot overcome with effort. We have to agree on that. But you cannot deny the fact that effort at least brings you to the same starting point as most people are, right? So I feel that on a spectrum, right, just like normal distribution, right? most people actually have similar amounts of talent and effort.
Okay.
I believe that effort can overcome talent at least 80 to 90% of the time.
Right.
If the talented guy not doing anything. Yeah.
Okay. See, so your answers is very consistent with most people's answers. But I will probably also probe deeper a bit further. But I will just to read out from here, right? For years, right, Americans were surveyed which is more important to success, talent or effort. And they say Americans are twice as likely to single out effort. But when you really probe deeper, right, we realize that actually we are favored or more biased to talent. Okay? And this experiment is very fascinating, which I want to actually talk to you all about. This guy called Chia-Jung, how do you pronounce this?
Chia-Jung Tsay. I think it's a Taiwanese guy.
It could be Korean, could be Taiwanese.
Korean, Taiwanese, but...
Pardon the name. Basically, he gave questionnaires to musical experts, right? And he asked them, which do you think is more important to success? Effortful training or natural talent? And the experiment showed that naturally they pick effort, right? But this is what the experiment that he did. He asked professional musicians, right, to learn about two pianists whose biographies were identical in terms of prior achievements. And he asked them to listen to a short clip being played by each of them. What they did not know was there's the same person playing different parts of the song, right? And at the end, right, one was described as a striver and one was described as a natural with evidence of innate talent. And then they were asked to judge which has more likely chance of succeeding. And in direct contrast to what they said earlier, they picked the talented one.
I feel that okay, at least personally for me, right? People have a tendency to want to seek comfortable situations.
Right.
So naturally, it's easier for them to park successful stuff under the most comfortable way of achieving things, which is talent.
Okay.
Right? So no matter what people say, because I feel that partly is also how we were brought up. We were also brought up to say that that guy is talented, right? Instead of saying that guy works damn hard, right? So naturally, we will park success easily under talent more than effort, because talent is okay. I feel that talent is a result, right? But effort is a process. It's always easier to see result than the process. So because of that, it's always easier to park success under talent as compared to result.
It's what you can see, right?
Yes.
Again, that's a big point, because actually Angela Duckworth talks about it also, that media is biased to talent.
Yes.
It's always nicer to have glorify somebody as talented, as good, whatever, attractive. But it's very unsexy to talk about the effort that they put in and everything, and it just doesn't make for a good story. So media in that sense also kind of programs us. Like look at BTS, for example. People say they're talented, but you don't look at the effort that they
put. I mean, naturally, you don't want to see a movie where the person suffer for 2 hours, right? Unless you want to watch Joker, that's a different thing altogether. But nobody wants to see a guy struggle for 2 hours, right? Yeah.
And one last reason why people might attribute success more to talent and effort, right, could also be a cop-out. Right? It could also be that they don't want to admit to themselves that they're not putting in the effort. That's why they just put it as, okay, this guy's talented, therefore I don't need to do anything to compete.
The lack of responsibility, right?
Yeah, and I want to read this because I think Angela put it really well. She quoted Nietzsche. Actually, Nietzsche was also, and she talked about this.
Ubermensch.
he talked about this, right? He said, with everything perfect, we do not ask how it came to be. Instead, we rejoice in the present fact as though it came out of ground by magic. And she said that our vanity, our self-love promotes the culture of genius. For if we think of genius as something magical, we are not obliged to compare ourselves or find ourselves lacking. To call something divine means there is no need to compete.
It gives us an outlet, basically.
It gives us a cop-out, right?
Yeah.
So, closing up the second segment, right, to cultivate a growth mindset, right, really change your paradigms about effort and talent. We don't have time to go into this, right, but go and look at how effort plays a part. Effort counts twice. You know, effort, okay, it feels like we're dragging it, but Popian had to share. So, effort, right, effort, you see, the thing about effort is this. Talent times effort equals to skill.
Yeah.
Okay, you have talent, you put in effort, you turn it into a skill. Skill times effort gives you productivity, gives you achievement. So in that sense, effort counts twice, whereas talent only counts once. And Angela Duff actually talked about it.
Yeah.
If you put in more effort, your skill becomes better. Not only that, you produce more content. You put yourself out there more, you stand a higher chance of getting opportunities. Just like how we have experienced it in our lives, right? Maybe one example of how.
Yeah, so I actually read about this this study. Actually, it wasn't a study, but it was a photography class done by one of the universities. So they, so basically, they split the class into two.
Yeah.
One class, right, just need to submit 5 photos.
Okay.
At the end of the project, 5 best photos that they feel. Right. The other one has to submit on a weekly basis has to submit a lot of photos. They count by how many photos that were taken.
Okay.
Which one do you think did better?
Obviously the one that submitted more.
Right? So yeah, so the sometimes there's the misunderstanding that we always feel that like, you know, in competitions we can half-ass our practice, right? Then at the competition we can perform, whether is it based on our talent, based on our skill and everything. But actually no. Actually the consistent work makes the performance, not during the day then you say, oh, I'm gonna strive for this. Right. Even during wonders like let's say if a stage performance, right? If they say like, oh, this person improv until very nice. Right. But it was because of the countless practice that the person had. Right. So it's slightly deviating from the point, but I would just like to point out to the fact that there is no way. I mean, unless you're exceptionally talented, if not, effort really balances everything out. Yeah. The more you put in the effort, the better you are. That's a given fact. It's very hard for you to put in a lot of effort and you still suck at it. Yeah.
Nice. Rounding up this segment, right? If you want to develop a growth mindset, don't glorify or put people on a pedestal. I know it's hard, but you just gotta tell yourself that. Ask yourself instead, right? What has the person done? Put a magnifying glass on his work ethic rather than on the talent that media likes to portray, you know. And another thing that Dweck talks about is this thing called the power of yet. Y-E-T. Your speech pattern is extremely powerful. I think we can even have a different segment on that. But your speech pattern programs you. And I think kids always, they say that I'm not good at this, I'm not good at math. She says add a yet at the back. I'm not good at math yet. We are not perfect at podcasting yet, but we can improve with effort. We know that neuroplasticity works. We can listen to podcasts, we can surround ourselves with people that help us, we can improve. That's the mindset shift that I hope people can take listening to this.
Of course. Even pros always believe that they can improve further. Right. So why not us?
Put the yet, Y-E-T at the back of your speech pattern. Okay. The last difference between a growth and a fixed mindset is how we view success and failure. I think this is the most crucial thing. In the fixed mindset, looking at an experiment above just an earlier experiment, right? People with a fixed mindset are fixated on the belief that success means always succeeding. Success is defined only by your results. Therefore, right, when you face challenges, you face mistakes, it's like a threat to your talent. It's a threat to your success. It's a threat to your self-worth. That is why it's so crippling. Whereas people in a growth mindset, right, they view success as a stretch. They view success as a process of accomplishing and becoming. And because of that, right, they appreciate and they have a very different paradigm of mistakes. To them, mistakes are an opportunity and a feedback for growth. You know, I think we all know this at a subconscious level, but why is it so hard to practice this in Singapore?
Okay. This one, PAP, please don't come after my ass. Okay, so naturally in Singapore, I always fundamentally believe that everybody has their own agenda.
Yeah.
So the government's agenda with regards to education is very simple. Stability is number one, right? Then producing good workers so that attract business, improve economy and stuff like that. So the easiest way to produce good workers, right, is by creating a standard where everybody can just compete in.
Yeah.
And everybody follows the rules, right? Then naturally, everybody will be succumb to the rule and naturally become more stable, right? So because of that, because of the agenda that we need to produce very, very good workers, we pride, or at least the education system prides success as grades.
Right.
And everybody has the same
The
standard.
evils of meritocracy. Like,
Is the evil?
You have to stratify people. Right?
Yes, correct. So meritocracy is based on that everybody has the opportunity to succeed, right? Then everybody is based on their effort, right? But they don't judge effort by effort. They judge effort by results. So there's the counterintuitive point So because of that, and the worst part about this is it affects students first. Yeah, if everybody were like adults, right? Everybody understands what they truly want. Then after that, then you judge them by this criteria. It will be less of an evil, I feel. But because students, they are programmed to really just work hard for the grade. Right. Now slightly different because you have to work hard for the CCA. Work hard for the leadership quality as well. Right. But nonetheless,
grades always first.
Yeah, grades always first. So and we always have the I don't know why, but naturally Singaporeans always judge like, oh, if you PSLE fail, you jialat already. Right. If you O-level fail, you're not gonna do anything. If you A-level fail, you're not gonna go uni. So it naturally puts your success and failure of that one thing as a permanent thing, right? Which always goes back to what we are trying to say is that success and failures are only that moment. It's not to. It's gonna. You might remember it, but it's not gonna haunt you for your life to a certain extent, right? So because of that, right, naturally, Singaporeans is a bit harder to see.
Yeah, I think in the national narrative, right, that social mobility, economic progress is important.
Yep.
Naturally will be programmed into a fixed mindset because even like walking past tuition centers, right, they never say this is a person with good character. It's always they never say this is a person with good CCA. It's always this person has get straight A's, get whatever.
I have to say though, if your tuition center outside put good character, right, something is wrong with the tuition center lah. But
I hope for the day that we can make a shift in paradigm. But anyway, it's the way it is. I think it's just to help you all be self-aware that it is the way it is, but you cannot change society as a whole unless you run for parliament lah. But as what you can do is really focus on what you can control, is change your view of success and failure. Go and listen to previous podcasts. I don't want to really delve into it today, but episode 2, episode 3, I talk about how we can reframe our mindset to failure. We got to really see failure as a stepping stone and the opposite side of the same coin to success, not as really opposites.
Right. I always remember what my mentor say. I am useless, yes, because at that moment I'm useless, right? So I just want to point out to the fact that everybody has strengths in certain places, everybody have weaknesses in certain places, but that doesn't stop us to try to pursue to become the best version of ourselves. And even if that moment, if you are failing, right, doesn't mean that you will continuously fail. Even if it doesn't mean that you are not learning something. There is always the law of reciprocity. You are always getting back something. And if you are continuously failing, maybe seek help from people, right? Even if you feel that it might be the end of the world for you, but there will always be somebody who at least have walked partially in your shoes before and definitely can help you lah.
Yeah, don't just try harder, try smarter also. Review, reflect, go and look at the past episodes on some frameworks I provide. Seek mentors. You said it's very important. My personal example sharing, right, is that when I was overcoming my experience with depression, right, I put my recovery on milestones, which is crazy. I put my recovery on the fact that, so here's the thing, right, the reason why I got into that state, right, is because I had a fixed mindset that my success is only on milestones. And the crazy thing is that I told myself that if I do not take my A-levels by this period, if I do not go back to school by March this period, if I don't go and train running because I had a dream to be Olympics, right? If I don't go to train by this period, then I'm not progressing. And when that period came closer and I'm not progressing, right, man, it just completely hit me. And I think what I did was completely let go of the paradigm that I need to be that thing.
Yeah.
I completely let go and I shifted my paradigm that, success means a journey lah. And I think just to share, I know I shared this a lot in past episodes, right? But I really do want to share this from my bottom of my heart, right? Like looking back, right, at the small success we had, right? The greatest reward for the dedication to excellence is not what I get from it, it's who I become through it. It's who I become. It's the journey that is the most rewarding and not just the rewards. That is the essence of the growth mindset, really.
Yeah. So I feel that, in school, we are always judged by grades, right? When we come out to society, we are judged by your position, right? The amount of money that you make, right? But I feel that at the fundamental point, we are born on this earth because we are just trying to find and become the best version of who we are, right? Money is important. Yes, I'm not going to say money is not important. Yeah, I need money if you want to donate, right? But ultimately, that cannot be the end all be all for you, right? Just like grades cannot be the end all be all for you.
Yep.
There are always other things that in life, and even if you feel like whether is it you suck at school, whether you suck at your job and stuff like that, just try to do more, right? Whether is it it might not be in the same job, you see, you can always take the time to go and find out what you want to do, right? What you feel like is the best thing for you, and that itself is a growth mindset, because you are not just restricting yourself to whatever you have right now, but you're looking to grow beyond what you currently have and becoming the best version of who you are.
Nice. Yeah. So Yida is going to start posting more content on social media. It's part of his growth mindset journey. Cannot speak so passionately, and then after that, don't post.
Right. Yeah. So you guys can come on the journey with me as well. Yep.
Summary of the 3 pointers before we close. First thing, look at the experiment. It's interesting. We'll link it up. Neuroplasticity. Your brain can grow with effort. So I really hope that you can place more emphasis on effort and not just on talent alone. Put in more effort. Use your speech pattern. Talk about yet. Say, I'm not good at this yet, but I can improve with effort. Speech pattern is very important. And finally, right, change the way you view success and failure. Ultimately, really don't see failure as a threat to your ego. Really see it as an excellent, exciting opportunity for growth. And that really sums up from our hearts what we want to share with you today. That concludes our first segment on life hacks with Yida. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any topics you want us to talk about, please give us some suggestions, any concerns, any fears, anything at all. We might even do book reviews. But yeah. Anything?
So at this point in time, it's our plugging time, right? So we are on YouTube if you are watching it, right? Spotify if you are audiophiles, right? But you can always reach out to us, whether is it DMs, Rebound with Resilience on IG, on Facebook as well. Kevin Wee, right? K.WEEE, right? Then _Yida, right? So we are very open to hearing what you guys feel is important to you guys, so that maybe we can do one particular episode on it. Yeah.
Okay. With that, stay resilient. Keep failing, but remember to learn from it. And I believe that you all will grow to become a better version of yourselves.
Yes.
All right.
And tune in to the next episode. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.